We've been making some modifications to the last proof of concept here in order to play around a little bit with the geometry. What I found previously when we had this front section leaning forwards, I had oriented things so that when I was pushing with my legs, I had the pendulum motion such that the bottom point of the pendulum was right in the middle of the mid-leg motion. So what that meant is that when I was in the catch position with my legs pulled back, my feet were actually quite a bit higher up than I wanted, so it was almost pushing the knees into my chest. So what I've done now is I've flipped the front frame around so that it's angled backwards, and that's putting the pivot point pretty much straight above my heels when I'm at the catch of my rowing stroke. So the very lowest portion of that arc happens when I'm fully retracted, and then as I push forwards with the legs, they start off horizontal and then curve up a little bit at the end. So the objective there was to have it so that my feet were at least maybe 4 or 5 inches below my butt when I'm in this position here, and now they're fit like that just fine. It also required me changing the foot angles quite a bit. So I mounted these wooden plates on hinges so that I could easily play around with spaces to get that angle just about right. And then in the catch position, I like to reach pretty far forwards to start the stroke. And the initial positioning of this pulley had my hands a little too far back, so I sort of just bent that tube backwards to bring that pulley further forwards. And now if you look at this, I've got stroke that's quite a bit more comfortable, especially in this positioning right here. Yeah, and one other sort of incidental benefit of this is that you notice that I no longer have any foot straps holding my feet onto the platforms. Because this is at the low point of the stroke, the whole frame mechanism naturally rocks all the way forwards to the back position here, and eliminating the need for foot straps or clipping in is another sort of simplification, and that'll facilitate having any other people hop on and go for a row without having to have SPDs or having to strap their feet in like that. So what we're going to do now that the geometry and the positioning of the pulleys, the foot plates, the angles, all of that is sorted, we're going to rebuild this frame structure and try to make it all out of aluminum to be substantially lighter. We've also shifted the seat so that it's a little bit more upright. That's put my head quite a bit closer to the roof than it was before, so we're going to elevate the height of the roof when we make this new frame. The second prototype frame has now served its purpose of helping us hone in on the final geometry. Trying to locate and sort all those details out just in CAD design is a little bit difficult because so much of it involves the human body, and I don't have a very good model for the human body in my SolidWorks program and what's a good ergonomic position for rowing. So that's what we're going to tackle today. I picked up a whole bunch of really nice thin-walled aluminum extrusions from the not scrapyard, from the proper metal supply house. Now we're going to go on to the third build of this rowing mechanism, and that should be the final one that we take with us on the crane. We had a few different ideas on how to make a tilting structure to support the solar roof, but the one I liked the most involved a curved top surface to the roof frame with rollers that would allow it to slide back and forth, not only tilting to face the sun, but shifting left and right to keep the rider inside relatively decent shade. This had an awesome effect of giving a Oregon wagon style look to the whole trike assembly as well. That, of course, required tube bending equipment, and tube bending equipment is not something we happen to have amongst our shop tools here at Grin. Well, I'm not sure if that was the best use of my time. I was looking online at various tube bending machines and trying to find if I could find any local in Vancouver, and stumbled on YouTube videos of people building their own tube benders and thought, oh geez, maybe that's not so bad, I could just make my own. Thought that might take me a couple hours. That was an entire day in the shop, more or less. But what I ended up doing here was making a pair of rollers, actually using e-bike motor axles with e-bike ball bearings, and then I have a pair of rollers that are exactly the same width as the metal stock that I'm going to be bending. So the stock here is going to be the top of the roof for the solar, the top of the roof, and I want it curved so that we can have a mechanism for tilting the panels so that they're facing the sun and providing us shade. The tube bender is pretty straightforward. It's just a pair of rollers. Machine with the slot exactly the same width as the square tubing, and then another single roller that fits on top between the two, and the idea is that this will then mount in the bench vise. So now you can simply push this stock, rock it back and forth, and increment the tension on the vise. So let's see how this works. My very first attempt at homemade tube bending. That seems to be working. Definitely curvature. What can I say? So the tube roller certainly rolled the tube. The outside looks wonderful and smooth, but the inner surface, which is what I was a little bit worried about, has very clear kinks throughout it. and that's not the ideal finish that you have, especially since I want wheels both on the top and the bottom in order to form the track that the panel rolls on. Before building this roller, I was reading online about the rolling of square tubing, and many sites suggested that the middle roller itself, the one that's pushing on the inside surface, should actually have a raised boss right in the middle, and that would deliberately press in the metal right down in the center here and stretch it so that you don't get these ripples forming in that surface. So I think I'm going to remachine a new roller for the midsection and then try that again and see if I can get good top and bottom surfaces. But otherwise, I'm actually pretty happy with that. I think that would look quite awesome on the top of the Trike, and that's just about the right amount of curvature that I was after here. So you can imagine the roof of the vehicle looking something like this. So now I've got a mid-roller with a bead in the middle, and we'll see if that makes all the difference. Well, that looks way better, but one thing I did notice is that, so all the crinkling on the inside has gone away, so it's now smooth on the inside surface, so quite a bit concave inside there. But it did bulge a fair bit on the sides. I don't know if this shows up very well on the camera. So the rollers that I have, these ones here, they don't actually go up to the full height of the aluminum rectangle profile. So after a few more iterations on getting just the optimal roller for doing the forming, I was able to get a super nice curvature out of the stock that I had for building the roof. But because it sort of caved in or collapsed in the inside a little bit in order to have it not wrinkle, it loses quite a bit of its rigidity, and I think that's just too flexible to support the weight of the solar panels when there's any kind of side wind or side loading. So ideally we'll be cutting this about 30 inches wide across. That's going to be the roof over top. But from here, even just with my hands, I can pull back and forth about half an inch or an inch on it. So what I'm going to try now is the same process, but using a thicker walled aluminum tube. So I was hoping I could get away with the thin walled stuff. Obviously it's much lighter, but if it's not going to support the structure and be it from to failure over the course of the trip, that'd be no good. And the final contraption here, I ended up hooking it up to a drill so that I can automate the back and forth motion. And that speeds things up considerably compared to what you saw last night when I was just pushing it. So here, if I just turn this, it's going to feed it through the roller. So I quickly hit the torque limit of what this little powered grinder could do for rolling the device. So I switched over to using a crescent wrench and then hit my strength limit for what I could do for that. So now I've welded on an actual extension arm in order to get the kind of leverage that's necessary to roll this much thicker walled tubing. And this
There you go! Oh, right. Get the torque out of that thing?
Excellent. Getting my gym workout.
Oh, man.
It's insane the difference though. Like this stuff here just blitz through.
This is the thin wall?
Yeah, just feel that, and you feel the amount of, well, just kick it up. But the overall stiffness is not what I think I need for the, right? It's tough to say.
And how much force do you think you're having to apply there? All of it.
And 38, actually 38 is even more perfect. Initially my model was 36 inches. I updated it to 40, thinking that might be a little bit easier from a rolling perspective. 38, smash in between, I'll live with that.
Rad.
Okay, yes, the damn thing had a bit of a helical coiling going on, so I'm just trying to get it so it sits on the same plane. Almost there. This stuff is damn strong.
What's the wall thickness?
1/8 inch. Yeah, this is super critical. It's just if I have it spiraling, then the roof, when I put the piece on the roof, it's going to have a little bit of a twist going on, and that could affect the ability of the rollers that track it back and forth from sitting flat, especially if I have like a cylindrical roller, it'll be riding on one surface and then the other. But this is kind of futile. Holy crow.
Do you think heating it with a blowtorch would help?
Yeah, but then we'd anneal it, and that's the last thing I want to do for an aluminum structure. Actually, it's getting there. It's getting there.